Welcome back, everyone. Oh my goodness, I hit something. Welcome back, everyone, to Green Light Cinema. And we are discussing Fargo Season 4, Episode 10. Oh my gosh. Whoa. I'm very surprised at this episode in a lot of ways. I've been wrong this entire season. I thought this was going to be a 10 episode season. Oh my gosh. I guess that they probably were like, we're not going to leave any, stone unturned. Let's just go ahead and make an extra episode, even though we've never done this before in any other season. We're going to do it in this season. And I'm okay with that, but I really thought this was going to be the last episode, so I'm a little relieved. But at the same time, I'm like, what's going to happen? I'm not too on the fence, though. But let's get into this episode. So basically, this episode was pretty simple, but very interesting episode. I don't know why, and I'm not saying that this absolutely happened, but I have a feeling like this episode was like the episodes that we were reading about like months ago that they said that they had to finish up on. This felt kind of like it was like they didn't say it was a time jump. Like normally later in the Fargo season and every season, I'm pretty sure they had kind of like a little time jump, and you see like with season 3. It first starts out in 2010, then goes to 2011, and by the end of it, we're in 2017. What I'm saying is, it was like snowing in the last episode, and then tornado, which was a day prior before the last episode, which is kind of confusing, but not too much. But yeah, my point is, there's snow on the ground, and it was like Christmas, and this episode didn't feel like it was like I seen a little bit of snow on the ground, but it felt like it was like kind of like months that went by or something. Like I feel like that tornado has something supernatural to it, but we'll get into that. But no sign of Rabbi in this. I haven't even begun to even talk about this episode. Okay, it starts out with like a bunch of newspaper clippings and showing like gangster war continues and rages. Kind of like it reminds me a lot of season 2 when they're like showing all these people being murdered from the Gerhardt side to Kansas City. It's kind of like that type of thing, and we do see that. We see at the Smutneys, the Smutney mom and dad, they're like got like bodies upon bodies that they're like working on, and it's like, oh my goodness, they're keeping busy, it looks like. So yeah, we got that going on, and we see like this little scene with Ethelrita is like walking down the street, like across the street from her is Orietta Mayflower, and she's kind of get that look like, I'm coming for you. Love the cinematography of this. It like, I don't know if like they just got like a chance over the quarantine break to like work around with some new things, but like there's like the camera would like speed up in some shots of the in scenes. I love those like wide shot angles. Oh man, they're so beautiful. This episode, this whole season, the colors, the skies, the everything, the trees, they just pop out and they look great and amazing. I love the cinematographer for all the Fargo. I think they said they've had the same one. I watched like a little video.
Dana Gonzalez has been the cinematographer on all of these seasons. He worked with me on Legion also.
The scope of season 4 of Fargo is bigger than all the other seasons because of the technologies that have happened and things that have evolved even in Noah Hawley and my filmmaking experience. The large format photography and the way that we were able to use longer lenses and kind of focus the period really gave to the strength of the story. The usage of gimbals on cranes and jib arms, cable cams, pretty much any shot we could think of we could do with something that we have on the truck, accessible. I think these things will only enlighten and highlight the season, not take away from the previous seasons.
I love cinematography. Cut 2, we see Otis busting in on the Italians, almost exactly like the same scene we seen with the Cannons. and Josto's giving him a funny look as he's getting arrested and everything. And so, cut to, then we see this big apartment building somewhere. Not really sure. I guess this is in Kansas City, in the city. And, like, Lloyd's getting his hair trimmed by his wife. And then they meet up with Happy, this guy we've been hearing about. And I guess Happy's kind of like the... I don't know, like, I guess like the godfather of the mobster, of the canon. I don't know, like, exactly his connections here. Like, he seems like the big fish to me, is what I want to call him. So he pretty much lays it down for Lloyd. Lloyd apologizes a little bit about, you know, Leon, but not very good, though. Like, he's like, you know, the guy's an idiot, pretty much. And it's like, oh, Lloyd, you know, kiss the ring if you have to. And his wife kind of pretty much lays it out in perspective. She said, you know, they still think Satchel's dead, which is pretty interesting to me. I wonder if they're ever going to, like, find out and, like, I don't know. I have so many interesting theories. I'm not even going to give out any more theories anymore. Let's just see how this plays out. Anyway, yeah, so then we don't really see much happen. And we see this guy, like, holding pictures. And they're never explain why he's on the pictures. I just assume that this, like, Happy's mom and dad, like, the guy's with Happy, he's, like, holding pictures. And Happy, like, looks at the pictures, like, as if he's, like, asking them, like, their opinion on the matter. Nothing really happens much, other than, like, Lloyd's wife kind of giving out some orders. And, I mean, she wants some things done. You know, this is not right. We want justice. I don't, you know, it feels so weird with Happy. I don't think he's happy with Leon getting, you know, the crap beat out of him with a belt and kicked. I mean, he had a rough beating. Man, I compared it to Shep beating up Steve Buscemi's character from Fargo, the film. I don't know who had it worse, though. Oh, wow. Anyway, cut to, we see Otis at the police station, and everyone's, like, giving him, like, you know, a round of applause, clapping for him, and his captain's, like, kind of warning him, like, hey, you know, better be careful. Kind of like what, it reminded me of what Duffy was saying to Otis, like, better be careful how many sides you play, or a coin only has two sides, or something like that. Pretty much be careful playing to both sides of the fence, is what he's saying. And ironically, Otis gets a call right at his desk from Josto. And Josto says, I got a bullet with your name on it. Want to come visit me? Or something similar along the lines of that. And Otis pretty much just hangs up on him. Thinks, you know, it's done. Oh, it's not. We see Josto. He's, like, so mad and intense and angry. Like, more so than ever. And we don't see him do any coke in this, so it's like, I guess this is just pure rage. I feel like him and Gaetano switched roles almost. Like, we see, like, Gaetano, like, a little bit more laid back and trying to get Josto to, you know, cool it off, calm down a little bit. And, like, Josto's just like, oh, you know, gosh, let's go. And, you know, Gaetano's just like, it's weird. Like, I talked about this, I think, in the last episode with the brothers, Josto and Gaetano. When the season came on, I mean, let's be honest, none of us liked Gaetano from the start, I don't think. I mean, I've seen a bunch of memes, pictures, and stuff, and it was like, Josto was kind of like more the, you know, keep his head on cool. It's like a whole role reversal. This is like an arc, absolutely an arc. And, I don't know, just narratively and figuratively, it's very interesting to the story. I can't wrap my mind around it. Like, what was the big change with Gaetano? I mean, him almost dying and finding out that Gaetano wanted him dead made him just have a change of heart. I don't know. It's just very, very interesting. And I want to say this, for the very first time ever, this is the first season of Fargo, I'm pretty sure, that we actually see brothers getting along. Season 1, Lester and his brother. Nope. Season 2, the Gerhardts. Ooh, boy. Them boys were intense. With Dodd, he was giving it to Rye. Him and Bear were going at it. Cut to season 3. I mean, come on. Emmett and Ray, boy. So yeah, it's kind of fun to see two brothers getting along, and they're getting along so good. He's pretty worked up and mad, and we see him walk out of the room with Gaetano, and it's the weirdest thing. We see like Ebel and Joe very close, and ever since I've had this weird suspicion that something's going on with like Joe and Joe Bullo. I want to say, in case anyone's lost on who I'm talking about. Yeah, we see them like kind of talking. Josto don't like how they're talking either, and he gets like really mad. And they tell him that New York said that things have been too noisy, and he's like, "Oh, too noisy." He's like, "Well, sorry, things have gotten loud." He's like, "I'm trying to protect my rights and my family," and gets very intense. And Gaetano again's trying to like calm him down. And it's like, what has happened here? Like, what's going on with these two brothers? They're completely switched roles. Cut to, then we see Satchel and Rabbit still walking, and he had to get still like a little bit of like a glass thing of milk. He's got like in his jacket, and just walking on the road still, and just, I guess, trying to find his way home. I mean, again, I guess Rabbi's dead because we hear like an echo, like, you know, I'm either dead or in jail, or like I think it paused on dead, like to like put it in, or like drill it in there, like he is dead and not coming back. And if he does, I think it'd probably be like in a weird spirit form, which Ghost. I'm about ready to get into that. Cut to, then we see the Smutneys, Ethelrita and her mom. They're like on the porch talking. They get on the conversation about like the ghost, and I'm calling him the ghost now because I have this weird feeling that he's not like this demonic presence that we all thought, more that I thought at the start anyway, that he's more of this like just creepy elusive ghost that just pops up, that actually he's got like supernatural powers with the Smutneys. So her mom pretty much was like, "Oh, you know, you see him too, or you know about him too, or you've had an experience with him too, I guess you would say." And she's like, "Yeah, you know," and she has more of a description of this man than her mom's actually ever got to see. She's like, "I've just smelt him," and she gives like a whole like story about their grandfather, or her grandfather, her mom's father, I guess. Yes, her mom's father came on the slave ship, and from what I recall, and their ship was like sinking, and she said that her father said that this man was the devil himself, the captain of the slave ship, and he was going to let all these people drown. And her grandfather decided to kill this man, and this devil man, and it somehow like he, I believe, survived, and maybe a few other people did. He made it to America, and then like years later, I believe that spirit, because he don't seem like a demon, and I'll get into that why I have my beliefs on this. So he just, this ghost guy just like pops up every now and then, I guess as a reminder maybe. I'm not really sure, but he visited, like, so he's connected to only like I'm not sure what her mom's maiden name is. Well, Roulette, maybe, I guess. So Zumar and her sister, I'm not sure what, I'm not sure what Ethelrita's mom's name is, or her dad, honestly. Shoot. Okay, so I believe only the females of the family, Roulettes, I guess you'd say. I believe it only runs in the Roulette family. This as again, not a demon. It's like a supernatural power or spirit that follows them. It helps them and possibly like keeps away enemies, I feel like, or maybe keeps them like protected somehow. So yeah, too, we see that Ethelrita and her mom are cut off, I believe, by the story talking about the spirit and everything by Loy's oldest, and he says something that they got everything about ready, but he's going to stay the night. And her mom makes the comment that she's got like a loaded gun. So it's kind of I thought that was a little funny, a little comment like, "Hey, Don't you think anything slick now? They're kind of talking for a minute, and then they get interrupted by the crazy Orietta Mayflower, and she's like, I know what you did, and just kind of like waving her finger and like fussing, and I mean, it gets pretty confrontational. But what I loved about Ethelreda was she didn't like get freaked out too badly. I mean, because, you know, Cannon's oldest is there too, so he was kind of like their buffer zone. But like, she unloads on her. She's like, I know what you've been doing. Because like, first Orietta's like, you took that ring, and she's like, you murder people, and you have poisons, and you have their belongings. And she's just like, you know, flips out a little bit, and she's like, well, there's a special place in hell for you. And then Ethelreda's like, well, where are you going to go? Or something like that. It's funny. Orietta knows there's nothing that she can really do, you know? So she just gets like mad and leaves. I wish so badly her mom had came out of the house at that time, though. Like with a gun or something. That would have been hilarious. So, you know, Ethelreda's like, I'm too smart for this girl, or this old, you know, nurse. She's crazy. But then I thought it was interesting. She asked Cannon's oldest if she can have an appointment to talk to his dad, Lloyd. And he's like, yeah, okay, I'll arrange that. So cut to, I'm not sure if I talked about it before, but I believe that when we seen Josto and Gaetano last, Josto was saying that Cannon needs to be replaced. And they need to find a new replacement for him, and it's going to happen soon. So now we're seeing Leon, and for the first time after he's gotten beat up real bad, and Happy, and they're in Josto's office of all places, and talking about some type of arrangement. And I believe Josto says, we don't have any arrangements here, we just do deals. And he's like, okay. And so he's like, we want slaughterhouses and part of the trucking. And he's like, okay. But then they get interrupted by his soon-to-be father-in-law. Because, he calls him his father-in-law. And I'm like, oh, so some time has went by. They've already gotten married. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But it gets pretty intense. He starts saying, like, all this racist, mean stuff to, like, Josto and Gaetano. He's just kind of, like, taking it for a minute. Just taking it in. And, he was like, I'm calling off the wedding, and I just want to know what the political angle was a little bit with this and where he was going with it. But he's like, because I believe all this was set up by Donatello, Josto and Gaetano's father, if I'm not mistaken. But, because I believe Josto confided that in Orietta. But the marriage isn't happening. And not only that, Gaetano, like, knocks this guy out. I mean, he punched him actually a couple of times. He's like, you can't punch me? And Josto's like, apparently we can. Or he can. I thought that was pretty funny. Somehow we see the Opal, again, like, knows everything that's going on down over at the Italian's house. And he reports back to him, hey, or, no, he says that he has a connection, or someone spotted Happy and Leon over at the Italians. And pretty much, it feels like Lloyd's like kind of saying, like, man, like, I guess my best days are done. I'm headed out the door. This battle looks like they're gonna win. In so many words, that's what it felt like he was saying. But cut to, then we see Satchel, and he's walking by himself, and we see Rabbit again, and a red truck pulls up with these like mean, like, country racist looking guys like, hey boy, just calling him. And like, I wrote this down because y'all know I take down notes, and I liked what he said. Let me find. I tried to write it down as fast as he was saying it, and I'm not the fastest writer. I should no boy, no. Mike tells these people off. These like guys in the truck. I thought he was gonna like tell them to get out of the car or just shoot them and take the truck and drive. But I guess I've been like really crazy. It's like, well, how much can we stretch the limit here? But he gets mad and he tells those guys to screw off and points a gun at him. And them guys get intimidated and back off and let Satchel, be on his way, which they should have done in the first place. And then, cut to, then we see Otis has, like, a police escort taking him, like, home back and forth. At this point, who could blame Otis? But, like, who could he trust, Like, I'm pretty sure those guys taking him there were, like, either working for the Fadas or something. These guys look like, they didn't look, I don't know, they look like they were dropping him off to his doom, which it pretty much was. So he goes, so cut to, we see Otis in the car, and out there waiting for Otis, we see Josto, Gaetano, and Joe Bullo. And we get to hear Joe talk, and it sounds just like Brad Garrett. Oh, I said his name right. Great. They destroy his apartment. And, he gets there, and Josto and Gaetano, they have this little scene together. And it was a pretty interesting exposition because Josto, they somehow get on the subject of, like, why he had to go to Italy and live. And so I guess he lived in America for, like, a little bit, or from best I can tell, it's, like, so hard to understand him sometimes. But it's from what I gathered that he fooled around with, like, the neighbor girls, like, with the neighbor girl when he was, like, 11. I was like, yikes, that's pretty crazy. And her dad found out and flipped out and, like, busted him through a window. And then he, like, stabbed her dad through, like, the eye. And their dad was like, all right, you're just way too violent, so you're being sent to Italy. But I'm sure he had, like, people watching over him. But still, though, that was pretty crazy. And they bond. Josto's like, well, you're here now. And it was a really cool scene. Like I said, I really do like these brothers bonding. Even though they're not the most likable characters, it's kind of neat to see them bond. I mean, we've never seen that, like I said, very much in a Fargo season. But Otis arrives home, and they let him go up into his apartment. Maybe they didn't see him get there. It is really hard to tell because it's in the dark. But I love, like, how it was filmed. It's like, it looks like the sun's kind of coming up a little bit. It's, like, really beautiful. Totally, it's nothing in his apartment that's like, okay, everything's been completely destroyed. And he runs off, and there's like a silhouette chasing him. I don't know if it was Joe Bullo or who it was. And he gets to his car, tries to pull his gun, and he doesn't, he drops it, and it's like all caught under the seat or something. And Josto's like, go get him. And Gaetano goes and shoots him. And, walks over, and I mean, shoots him like 4 times. And then, like, Gaetano has this, like, reluctant, sad look on his face, kind of like, And then walks back to the car, trips and dies, and kills himself. He shoots himself in the head and kills himself. I was like, oh my gosh! I wasn't expecting that. And Josto vomited, as would anybody, because his skull pops off. I'm not even sure if I can show that on YouTube. So yeah, and Josto drives away. That was really sad and pretty rough, I gotta say. But it was weird though. It was like Otis knew he was going to get killed, and I think because he starts hearing his wife kind of like singing, and like kind of goes off to that like memory he was having, and it looks like his last breath, like they show him like kind of grinning, almost like he embraced his death. Like I feel like that's what Rabbi did, like in that last episode, like when he just went into that tornado. I don't know if it sucked him into another dimension or what. Like, will that be explained? I hope. I don't know. But yeah, so cut to then we see Orietta somehow has made it into the Smutneys. And she's in, like, the room with Ethelrita and has, like, a needle ready. And this is where my theory comes in about the spirit. He comes out of the shadows and, like, gives, like, this real creepy, like, menacing grin to Orietta. And she screams really loud and somehow, like, makes it across the street back to her apartment without, like, any of the Smutneys getting up and attacking her or this spirit attacking her. She just gets scared and runs off and breaks the needle. and like she's greeted in her apartment by police officers and detectives, and they said, guess what, Dr. Harvard has woke up and you have a warrant. And I'm sure she's got many others too. So they take her away, she's arrested, and the Smutneys, all of them, and Cannon's oldest, is all watching her be taken away by the police. Pretty crazy. Cut to, now we see Ethelreda, and she is going into Loy's office. I don't believe we've ever seen this. It's like in like downtown Kansas City, I guess. So she's going there to talk to him, about this, and he's like, look, about like a deal, and he's like, look, you want, I know you want your parents' house back, and, that's not going to happen. But then she impresses him. She like talks in French and shows like her intelligence just with like things in general. And I think it piques his interest a little bit. So he sits down and talks to her, and she kind of like blows his mind a little bit more when she reveals to him like, hey, I want to help you win your war. Also, here's Donatello Fada's ring. And here's the newspaper article clipping. And by the way, this nurse that lived across the street, she's been like murdering people and like got arrested and like has all these poisons. I don't know what all they have planned and what all she has up her sleeve, but she's like, you're not going to take away our home. And like, she's like, how I know this? She's like, you would have killed my parents already, which was a pretty bold and brave statement to say, I thought. And she was like, you let them keep the deed, they're still paying tax on the house, and here's a bill for all the 27 dead people. She's like, she stresses it 3 times, I believe, 27 of his men or so dead. And she was like, here's the bill at $600 some. And he's probably like, this isn't how things normally go. And she's just like, well, here's a new change in your world. But he's peaked, though, about her wanting to help him win this war. And I believe, like, some great intentions is going to come out of that. I don't know, like, how the outcome's going to be. Who can even predict it at this point? And again, I'm done predicting it. I just want to see how it turns out. I was surprised that we were getting an 11th episode. I'm really happy about that. But, yeah, so that's the end of this episode. And we'll see where it goes. And I hope this review was entertaining for you. Gosh, this episode was, like, pretty interesting to wrap my mind around because I'm still in love with the last episode. That episode was so amazing, and I really hope we see Rabbi come back in, like, some way or another, in a spirit form, or, I mean, Fargo does things in the supernatural realm, why not? But yeah, that's my review for Fargo Season 4, Episode 10. I cannot wait to do Fargo Season 4, Episode 11. And if you guys haven't already, I hope you guys will like and subscribe to my channel and keep watching these Fargo episodes with me and watching my reviews. Oh my gosh. What's the next one going to be? I don't know. I've said that so many times. Anyway, thank you guys. Bye.